welcome to the Wedding Reporter podcast. Today we have the lovely gals from Mint Springs Farm. We have Beck Broaddus and Kelly Cabry, and they're the owners of this beautiful venue, and we are talking all about the perks of booking an all-inclusive venue. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'll talk about you guys' bio. So meet Kelly Cabry and Beck Broaddus, the owners of Mint Springs Farm. They both have been in hospitality industry for over 14 years and are passionate about creating experiences for every client. Kelly began her career back home in Cape Cod working as a wedding planner and catering manager before moving to Nashville. Kelly and Beck met while working together at G Catering in Nashville, Tennessee. In their 7 years together at G Catering, they gained immense experience that equipped them for venue ownership. When Kelly isn't at work, you'll find her enjoying a glass of wine with her husband or playing with her son at a local park. Beck, a native Nashvilleian, loves keeping up with new restaurants, baking at home for her husband, or going for a long walk. Together, they bring their experience and passion to every wedding and event at Mint Springs Farm. Welcome, guys.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you and to chat with you guys. We actually featured a wedding, a couple. Jen Watkins came on the podcast in episode 1, and she just raved about you guys, and her wedding was just so gorgeous. And so now I'm actually so excited to have you guys on just to share more insight about your venue and just like all about all-inclusive venues, because there's a lot of options out there and we want to know like the perks about that. So let's start off. I kind of gave you guys like a little intro there, but like maybe in your own words, like tell us how you guys got started and how it's kind of developed into Mint Springs.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
All right. So as my intro said, I'm a native Nashvilleian. So I've seen the city grow and change, and that's been really fun. I kind of grew up in the hospitality industry. My dad owns a catering company, G Catering. And so I really saw so many different types of events and grew up just learning the importance of creating experiences at events for guests for them to enjoy. So grew up working with him, and then out after high school, did a little bit of college, and then worked with him and really gained a lot of experience with corporate music industry, weddings, and then into 7 years before we met, I remember getting Kelly's resume in my inbox and walking into my dad's office and saying, "You need to hire her."
Wow, no way. I love that.
Like I read her description and I was like, just hire her. Like I really feel like she is perfect for this position. And so I didn't, but he called her and interviewed her, I think like the next day or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then the rest is history. So we really, we've literally done hundreds of events together and at the same company. And so I just feel like we bring so much value to the wedding industry and as venue owners, because working in catering is something that really is very invasive in all stages of planning and execution, where there's other vendors like rental companies that come, they set it up, and then they leave. But a caterer really keeps the party going and serves the guests. And so we have lots of stories of
I'm sure you do.
Things happen in all kinds of weathers and all kinds of venues, fields, things like that. And so then the opportunity came for us to purchase Mint Springs, and then we decided to go into business together. So that's a little bit of background about myself, but also just about how we came here. So I'll let Kelly go now.
Yeah. So like you had said, I'm originally from Massachusetts. I've lived there until I was 25 years old. I worked with wedding planners. I worked with a catering company. Kind of did a lot of different things over my course of time on the Cape. After college, I stayed on the Cape for a little while. have a degree in hospitality event management, and I knew I've loved weddings. I've just always loved weddings. I loved all events, but I knew that weddings were my go-to. So I decided at one point, I'm like, I can either move to Boston or I can just pick up and move to Nashville. And I surprisingly just moved here, no job, no friends here. And G Catering was, the second night I was here, I remember it was a stormy, rainy night. And I just sent my resume in out of luck and a whim, and I got a call the next day. And I have absolutely loved my time here in Nashville and am very, very glad for this opportunity now. But got to know Beck over the years, and like she said, just working all the different types of events, working for music industry and social events and smaller gatherings and weddings and huge galas. It's so fun to be in Nashville and be able to work these crazy cool events in such a up and coming huge city that Nashville has become. But yes, a couple years ago, Beck came to me and we decided that we were kind of done with the catering world. We wanted to see what else was out there, and we had this great partnership and business plan, and we knew that the former owner was ready to go to retirement, and we were able to come together and purchase Mint Springs. And it has been so fun. It's been a lot of work, but we've had so much fun just keeping the integrity of what is Mint Springs and making weddings happen and getting to know so many amazing vendors and clients, including Jen. We had a lot of fun with her wedding, and it's just been it's a fun ride, wild ride, but we're so happy to be in it together and just make dreams happen for our couples.
That's so awesome. And that's so cool how like you guys met and it all just came together, and you're using those years of experience like at the catering company to blend over into venue ownership now. And you're right. It's like a caterer does go every step of the way with a couple, and not every vendor does that. And so having that experience of knowing the ins and outs of like pre-planning to, a month out to the actual wedding day and to what you need to finish up post, like that is such valuable knowledge and experience to have to own a venue, because a venue owner is also that. It's like in all of those stages as well, because that is where the actual wedding is going to be taking place. And as a venue, you are coordinating other vendors as far as like when rentals are coming and, when's catering coming and that sort of a thing too. And so, I think that's just so awesome how you guys came together and used that experience for what you have now. So Mint Springs is an all-inclusive venue. Tell us more about like the decision in that. And I know you bought this from a previous owner. So like maybe what are some things that you changed as far as like your all-inclusive packages go, or is everything pretty much the same of what the previous owner had, and maybe just the perks of having an all-inclusive venue?
Yeah, well, so Mint Springs has always been all-inclusive since they first opened in 2012. It's always been all-inclusive. So when we came together for our business plan, we knew we wanted to keep that business model of keeping it all-inclusive. Being on the other side from a vendor perspective, we knew there are so many options in Nashville specifically for couples to choose from. So we knew, having worked out here at Mint Springs from a catering, and we knew the vendors out here, we knew how wonderful they were. And we wanted to keep that and intact that for our couples. So we've kept the same business model, and it's worked out really well. We've had some amazing vendors stay here and just give the incredible experiences to our couples.
Yeah. And I think also bringing in some new vendors with our background being a vendor, obviously we're very focused, but we want to be a place where vendors thrive, because we know how hard event days are, and we want to be realistic. We want to be helpful. We want to cheer them on. And so although we are here to serve our clients, we also just want to be the venue that vendors are also like, we want to go there because their work is great. They're great to work with. They support us. We have realistic rules and things like that. So, and then historically it has been primarily a wedding venue, but we are really wanting to do social and corporate events as well, and just reintroduce to the market that it doesn't have to be a wedding. It can be other celebrations as well. And so really trying to lean into that this year and the years forward.
That's really cool. I love that. Yeah. And I mean, the way it's set up and everything, it totally screams wedding, but you're right. Like so many other events can happen in a space like that. And like you said, corporate events have just been growing so much in our city. And like a lot of big corporations like see this as a destination now to have an amazing event. And so I think that's really smart of you guys to like open it up in that realm too. So let's talk about like the all-inclusiveness of Mint Springs. So like what all is exactly included when we say all-inclusive? Like, do you have a list of preferred vendors, or is it pretty much like these are the vendors you have to use? Kind of like where's the leeway with what you have and what you can offer?
Yeah, so what we include in our package is a floral design team, which includes the florals and also design elements in the weddings. It includes your caterer, from a cocktail hour spread to a dinner buffet is included. It includes our DJ, an AV tech, and it includes rentals. It also includes a Sprinter van on the day of that transports the bridal party back and forth on our very large property.
That's great.
And it also includes a wedding planner. The wedding planner she is assigned to you the moment that the client signed the contract. So our planners here are just with the clients from the very beginning up until the very end. They help guide our brides and just make sure that they're having a really seamless experience here. Awesome. And helping guide on the outside vendors that are not included. So photographers, videographers, hair and makeup, guest transportation, things of that nature. We have a very exclusive list that we've worked with all these vendors, outside vendors. We vetted them for our clients. So we make it very easy for our couples in the guidance of, of booking these outside vendors, knowing their quality meets our expectations for what we expect here at the farm too, for our clients.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's so smart to do it that way. Because there are some vendors out there that like might not be trustworthy or like don't really know the industry very well. And like a lot of times that can like make or break a wedding. And like for you guys to be able to provide that list and to just have vendors who you already know are so reliable that you've worked with so much throughout the years, even in your catering experience, and to just like know that weddings are going to run seamlessly, like with these people that you have on board, and to give that confidence to the couples that come in, I think is so important. And it's a really great business model for you guys to have. So it's really cool.
I think for us too, coming from the catering side, we would hear all the time from clients, and it would happen to ourselves too, of us reaching out to vendors and not getting responses back in a very timely manner. And that's one of our biggest things here is we want to respond very quickly to our clients. And so all the vendors we work with, we know that they're very responsive, and that's very important to us. And they treat our clients really well. And so we kind of take that burden off of the couple having to go out and find outside vendors in those areas that are not included.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's so smart. You guys just make it such an easy process for couples. It's like, and we can kind of go into like what kind of couples like tend to book all inclusive, or like what can they expect when they book Mint Springs?
Yeah. So I think we have a lot of destination couples simply because when you're not in town, vetting the vendors, like Kelly was saying, is a little bit difficult. And so we do have, I would say probably like 70% out of town couples. So I think they are one of our prime audiences. But I think also that couple that really wants that luxury experience, but they don't necessarily want to do all of the homework. And I think that all-inclusive hotels venues like that, they can get the reputation of being cookie cutter and it not being customizable. And that's something that like we want to break down, because we want it to be your wedding. We don't want it to be a cookie cutter wedding. So when we have a vendor list that is, photography, videography, hair and makeup, that's not included in the package, we're intentionally not including them in the package, because there's a lot of photographers and there's different styles. There's more moody, there's lighter photography. Same with hair and makeup. You can have more glam or more natural, and that's very personalized. And so we want them to be able to make those decisions based on their personality, their vision, and their means. And so that clientele of wanting direction, but still wanting something that's very customizable. A part of the planning process is having a meeting with our floral designer and the planner. And that's when we'll go through their vision. We'll pick out all their candles, centerpieces, things like that. And so it's not just pick A, B, and C. Like, we're going to talk through all of those details of how to make it their wedding. It's not our wedding. It's not our vision. Obviously, like, we're going to help with our professional experience and opinion with certain elements, of course, but really wanting to capture their vision and make it their experience and celebration that they've always dreamed of. And so I think it's that couple that is wanting that luxury hands-on experience. We are a hybrid from the perspective of, there are some wedding planners that will go to your dress fittings, that will do invitations, send those out, make welcome bags for your guests and put them in hotels, things like that. We are not necessarily to that, but we are that couple that wants all of their details throughout the planning process touched and executed at the event.
That's great. That's so awesome for a couple that they can kind of be hands off in a way and just like put it in the hands of you guys and have trust in that and the professionals. And yeah, you're right. There are a lot of couples like that, especially out of town, where it's like they don't know the vendors, they don't know who to hire, but it's like all-inclusive is such a huge perk, because it's like, oh, everything's already there. Like, I can just show up and get married. Like, how awesome is that?
It's really interesting. I've had quite a few clients over the last couple of years now. They'll email me and they'll be like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And I'm like, you've checked off some really big boxes booking at our venue, because you have your caterer, you have your florist, you have your venue, you have a planner, you have your rentals, you have your DJ, like those big boxes that brides initially have to check off in the beginning. You've done that as soon as you book with us here. So I've had couples be like, I feel like I need to be doing stuff. And I'm like, we're handling everything for you. And that's the experience we want to give to our couples, is we want to make it exactly what they want, but also be just really seamless and really easy for them and stress-free and relaxed, because as I'm sure everybody knows who's gotten married, weddings can be very, very stressful and chaotic and emotional. Like there's so many things that go through brides and grooms' heads and the family's heads, that like we want to help take that away from our clients and just give a really easy experience and positive experience too.
That's awesome. I love that. So I know like all-inclusive weddings and like venues, they kind of get the rap that like, okay, is it more expensive? Like, what hidden costs are in here? Like, can you kind of speak to that? Like, is it more expensive to book an all-inclusive venue, or is it saving you money?
No, it is not more expensive at all. I think that it makes sense that people would think that, because they're seeing the bottom line price. And sometimes that can be a bit of a sticker shock. But if you go to another venue where it's just the venue, and then you have to pick out your rentals and then your florist, caterer, things like that, it's going to add up to that number. But with Mint Springs, there's so much other value that we bring. So I'll use lighting as an example. we have so much lighting that is just included in a part of the venue, like up lights, spotlights, colored dancing lights for the reception. You get a gobo, things like that. That's just all a part of the venue. But we also have really great chandelier options that you can add on from a decor perspective. And those are significantly less than if you were to hire a lighting company and bring it in, because you're not having to pay for the labor to bring that those crew members in to hang it up, the fuel charges to get to the venue, the delivery charges, things like that. And so we've taken that out for our clients. And so we have design elements that if you were to have it at a venue that's not all inclusive or a hotel, things like that, it's actually probably going to be more expensive if you look at it from a design perspective. And so, no, it's not more expensive. You're probably actually getting a better value. But it is hard to convey to clients that we are trying to secure that, like, no, it's actually a huge value. And we really do try to make it as seamless as possible, and having literature that explains, like, this is all of the florals that are included, but here's pictures associated with it so that you can see the value. So before a client books, we send those documents to them and say, here's a list of what you get to enjoy and use for your wedding. But here's pictures associated with it, because it's very vague if you just say florals for the farm tables are included, So we want to make sure that they know everything that they're getting. And also, I just think that we're really transparent about pricing throughout the planning process. So in the design meeting, we'll, after we've talked about all of those details, we'll put together a design board that has pictures and descriptions of what their wedding will look like. But then we send them an invoice if there is anything additional, and it will be line item down. So they can say, I want chargers for just the head table, or I want chargers for the whole wedding guest count. And so they can make those decisions throughout the planning process. And we're not going to, 10 days before put a service charge at the end of it or things like that. Like, we're really transparent about, like, no, this is the bottom line. And if you want to add on these things, you absolutely can, but you don't have to. We're not requiring anyone to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important for us to be very upfront about our pricing. And I think that's kind of what scares people away at first, because it is like, if you pay this much, you are going to get all of these things. And it's been kind of a work in progress with us too, of learning of, like, okay, what are brides really going to be reading through? And we had a document that was 14 pages long at first. And we're like, that's just too much. We got to scale it back a little bit. Because brides are just really concerned with, like, the price and what's included, what are they going to have to do. So just being really honest and upfront, so everyone's on the same page with things. I think that kind of scares people too, and they see, oh, that's a lot of money. But once they go through the process, we have had people come back to us and say, it was my wedding that we booked elsewhere was way more than what you had originally told us, because we had to add on all of these different vendors and different items. So we try to make it, one, not cookie cutter, and also just very transparent with our prices, and just honest and upfront from the very beginning with it all.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's so smart. Like you said, if they want an add-on, you price it out, and there's a line item for how much that would cost. And, like, I think that is so important for couples to see exactly what they're getting, and that you guys are so transparent about the pricing, because, like you said, that can scare people off if they're like, well, if everything and it just adds up to this big number, well, what exactly am I paying for here? And so, yeah, I think that business model is really smart, and helps couples book with you and trust you more too. So I love that. Okay, last question. So we talked a little bit about how you are looking for, like, corporate clients as well. So, like, how is Mint Springs Farm, like, kind of reaching out to the community? And do you guys have, like, events that are kind of, like, community based as far as that goes, and kind of separate from weddings?
Yeah, it was definitely a goal this year to really get involved with the community, and let people know that we're here. We've had so many people who live in the town of Nolensville say, I didn't even know that Mint Springs existed. So we really wanted to give back to our community and just get more involved in letting people know that we're here and we want to support our locals, and not just have the weddings and events, corporate events. We did a daddy-daughter dance this year, and it was the cutest thing that we have ever done. It just was just so joyful, and just to get such great feedback from our community, and get the support from our community, and letting them know, like, we're the new owners. We want to support you. We want your feedback. What interests you in events that we could do for you and your family. And we've gotten so much incredible feedback that we're really excited to continue to host community events for many, many, many years to come. But yeah, the daddy daughter dance, I think just that did it for me. It was so cute.
That's
and
precious.
It was so fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And like, what a pretty space to do that in, because normally it's like in a gymnasium or like in a church sanctuary or something, you know, like it's cool to just like have that like wedding kind of backdrop with just like how beautiful the farm is. And so that's really cool and like really special for them.
Yeah, we had one gentleman come up to us and say that he was one of the first couples to ever get married here when it first opened.
No way.
And he was back with his daughter, and I just got choked. It's like a wonderful moment. So it's just really cool to like just encompass that and just give back to our community.
Yeah,
I love that. That's so cool. Well, let's wrap up. I would love to just hear kind of like a quick rundown of Mint Springs as far as like your location, like how many people fit in the venue, like maybe a couple of the amenities, and like just so when people are looking for you guys online, like what can they expect?
Yeah. So we're in Nolensville, Tennessee. We're on 40 acres of land, and I think that's a huge selling point. It's very private and great for pictures. So lots of beautiful foliage. We have up to 250 guests as our capacity for weddings. We are all inclusive, so we are with you from the moment that you book until you get into your getaway car, and we'll plan everything and execute everything for you and your big day. What else do you want to add, Kelly?
We have a separate, beautiful bridal suite that we're in right now.
Ooh, beautiful.
The reception barn. So bride and groom are separate on the day of getting ready. We have a beautiful ceremony pavilion that can be completely enclosed if it's too cold outside or raining sideways. We have a beautiful patio area for cocktail hour with bistro lighting. The sun sets in a beautiful location when you're out there for cocktail hour.
Overlooking the pond.
Overlooking the pond that we have on property.
So pretty.
And then we have the beautiful reception barn that is up and downstairs. We've got a beautiful chandelier. And we just love to host all couples and all events and all corporate events. And we want to host your corporate event and your social event. So yeah, we invite everybody, and we just look forward to working with many, many more people.
Awesome. Very cool. I love that. So if any of you listening are looking to get married in the Nashville area and want something that's all inclusive on a beautiful farm, definitely check out Mint Springs Farm. We'll link all of their website and socials in the show notes. And thank you guys so much for coming on and telling us all about all-inclusive venues. This is really awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wedding Reporter podcast. I hope you learned a little bit and had fun today. To find more resources and podcast episodes, visit NashvilleBrideGuide.com for more information. And as always, click the subscribe button and leave us a review. Until next time, I'm Alyssa DeChico, signing off.